We are 6:01. We are a minute late, but we are live. Welcome, everybody, to a nice place to brew. I'm Jason, and with me, as always, is Mr. 1.5 minutes late, Mr. George.
I mean, 15 seconds according to the timer, but you know, who's counting?
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a guest tonight, and oh boy, is this a treat here today?
Who?
Ladies and gentlemen, JBG, member number 1. He's a legend in the homebrew game. He is the brew house manager of Will County Brewing Company in Shorewood, Illinois. Please welcome to A Nice Place to Brew, Mr. Joel Rakowski.
El Presidente.
El Presidente, yes. How fitting.
El Presidente.
All right. To kick things off appropriately, today is November 12th, second Thursday in November. We do our webcast here every Thursday at 6 p.m. Central Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Our past episodes are available on our YouTube page. Our streams are available on YouTube as well as our Facebook page. Our website is at niceplacetobrew.com. We have a podcast under the same name, A Nice Place to Brew. It's available on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, and all the places you get your podcast from. And we're available on social media under the names Nice Place to Brew and Nice Place to Brew. Welcome, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. Let's start things off appropriately. What is everybody drinking tonight? Mr. Joel.
Well, not to show my own products or anything, but let's see. I'm drinking some Duper Tubin. It's a Kush beer from my brewery, Will County Brewing. And I don't think we have this in cans anymore. This is like the last of my case.
The last of the last? All right. And look, he's drinking out of a JBG mug. I love that.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what? That same glass had a presence on this show. I think it was either last week or the week before. I love it.
I'll tell you that.
Go ahead, George. I'm going the same place. It'll sound better coming from you.
I was going to say that little logo still drives my wife absolutely crazy every time she sees it. And I use that glass frequently just because of that. Yeah.
Why does the old logo drive her crazy? I'm curious.
It's not the logo itself. It's how small it is.
Oh, yeah.
Gotcha.
Well, it looked bigger in the proof, so.
I bet. Yeah.
What about you, Joel? Or George?
Yeah. Mouthful.
Won't be the last time tonight I do that.
Southern Tier, Creme Brulee, Nitro, Imperial Milk Stout.
Oh.
Very nice.
Yeah. It's made an appearance once or twice here before, but it's still tasty.
All right. Good deal.
What are you drinking, Jason?
Okay, so I purchased a 6-pack yesterday of a beer I've not tried before, and what was I going to say? This is a beer and a brewery that I knew less about than I thought, and this will be the first appearance on A Nice Place to Brew for. It's a big brewery. It's our friends up north, Leinenkugels, out of Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin. The beer is Snowdrift Vanilla Porter.
Ooh, I've had that. That's good.
Which is a limited release. I'm trying this. I had my first bottle of this last night. My review, pretty good. I think the vanilla is a little slight. I would have kicked that up a little bit if I were the brewer, but overall a pretty good porter.
Yeah,
I did not know until I was doing my research earlier today that Leinenkugels is owned by Miller Coors.
Yep. Unfortunately.
Yeah. So I guess,
Empire.
So I mean, do we revoke Leinenkugels' craft stance?
You know, I think they get to keep their card so long as they act like a craft brewery, like Devil's Backbone, Goose Island to an extent, Leinenkugel. They still act like a craft brewery, and then the big guys kind of leave them be. You don't see a big shift in their recipes and things like that, but if they start using rice, watering things down, and making it craft beer, take their card.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Joel, fair statement.
Well, I mean, I guess I'm going to have to revoke our own card since we use rice in some of our beers. But
I mean, that's like, like the Miller Lite thing. There's nothing wrong with rice in beer, but like the Miller Lite thing of like it's a principal ingredient in all of our beers. And
true. I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
I was being difficult. Anyway, Lion Kugels was my very first craft beer ever. Like outside of your usual Miller or Coors. Like I went to a party back, Lord knows when, probably when I was just 21, and somebody bought a keg of Liney's Red, and that was amazing. I never tried beer like that before. Holy cow! So, Liney has a special place in my heart.
All right. Okay. So it wasn't just your first craft beer. It was the one that turned your attention to craft beer too?
Yeah, definitely.
Nice. I got a similar story because my first craft beer was Sam Adams. And I see a lot of common ground with between Lion Kugels and Sam Adams.
Yeah.
So no, that's very, very, very fitting. And obviously being here in the Midwest, it's very accessible. So they built up a bit of a following. So cheers to.
I still definitely want to go to their big tap room, whatever they have up in Chippewa Falls. That place looks amazing.
It does. Yeah, the pictures are awesome.
Yeah. Anyway.
So Joel, we have not spoken here on the webcast, obviously during the quarantine times, and I've got lots of questions about how things have been at Will County specifically. But how is COVID life been for Joel? What's that been like?
Oh my gosh, what a roller coaster fun ride this has been.
Yeah.
So like when back in March when things were going insane, my then fiance Teresa and I decided, you know what, let's just get married now before the world comes to an end.
Yay! Very romantic.
Get it taken care of. So like we did that, and but then we felt really cheated, like, oh man, like we met on Halloween 24 years ago, and we always wanted to get married on Halloween, and so like we didn't know if the city would be locked down in October. So like anyway, this past 2 weeks ago we did get married, the unofficial marriage with the ceremony on Halloween. So that was really meaningful for both of us, and it was a very, very small gathering. Everybody social distanced, and it was great. So glad we did that. Yeah. So we've been quarantined once earlier in the year, and they say that this COVID stuff is like a relationship. Accelerator.
Tester? Oh, accelerator. Okay.
I think both of those statements hold up pretty good.
So Teresa and I feel like we've been married for like 10 years at this point, but things are going great. I don't know, man. It's just so crazy worrying about all of your family members. My son's got asthma. My wife has asthma. My father has COPD. I'm definitely
boy,
many of this stuff. So we're trying to be as cautious as possible.
Yeah.
You know how it is. I don't need to talk about that, but.
Well, you and I are both in the Married in 2020 club.
Yeah,
so
congratulations.
Thank you. So cheers to that.
You're both in the newlywed club.
Since your wedding?
What's that?
Is this your third podcast since the wedding?
Yes.
All
yes,
right.
correct.
Is it?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no. Last week.
Second one, right?
Second one. Okay. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. But
Doesn't count
you
our-
both are in the newlywed category, and you're making me feel old. At the end of this month, we're celebrating 15 years.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
you got a head start.
A little bit of a different story on that one.
Oh man.
So let's segue to brewing. So Will, you are the brew house manager of Will County Brewing Company.
You are correct. Sir.
You joined on in the very early days of their opening.
Yeah.
So obviously, like the opening of the breweries for the first time was 2018. Is that right?
Yeah, 2018, March 10th, 2018.
March 10th, 2018.
Yep.
All right. So you guys, so kind of right around what would have been the 2-year anniversary is where the whole world got turned upside down, basically, wasn't it?
Basically, yeah.
Yeah. So I know you guys. I've been to the brewery since that time to buy cans, and I saw at least what the new process was then. But can you talk a little bit about just how have things been from that point and how it's evolved throughout this whole time over at Will County?
Yeah. Ever since the lockdown, we've been to this is a third restriction that we've gone through, and we're getting it to be old hands at this stuff now. The state shuts down, says you gotta keep people out of the inside, and so we set up tents and we set up picnic tables and we set up lights, and now we have heaters out there, and so we're just hoping that people still want to come out and if not brew, or if not hang out on site, at least come pick up a 6-pack or 4-pack or a crowler or something, just to keep it going, man.
How has it been doing business in Shorewood? Have they been supportive of you guys and other nearby businesses throughout this whole thing?
Yeah, definitely. They've been very supportive of everything. So they know that we're just trying to make ends meet, just like every other bar and restaurant in the area. So don't have any complaints with those guys. That's for sure.
Cool.
What kind of a system are you guys using over there?
Well, we still have our five barrel brew rig. It's basically it's a mash tun and boil kettle times 2. So we brew twice every day that we brew. So we start one brew on the left side and then stagger it an hour later, and then we're brewing the next one, and that usually works out pretty smoothly as far as like, okay, the first batch is going from the mash tun into the boil kettle, start to mash on the second one. Then when you're transferring the wort into the fermenter on the first one, and you're transferring into the boil kettle on the second one, so it works out pretty well.
So every day is a double brew day then, basically?
Basically, yeah.
Wow.
So
in the early days,
10-barrel fermenters? Is that what?
Yeah, we have 5. Well, we have 8 5-barrel fermenters, and then recently we just got 1 10-barrel fermenter. So that's that's a double brew day.
Okay.
So your mash tun and your boil kettle, they're only 2.5 barrel, like 3 barrel? Is that right?
Basically, yeah.
Okay, all right.
So
that's a lot of brewing.
Yeah, we're used to it.
That's an intense brew day too, for sure.
Yeah, Jason's been over to one of our brew days, so he can tell you all about.
I have. I learned. I learned. To say I learned a lot is an understatement. It's like, wow, what a day that was.
So yeah, we've gotten pretty good at it over the years, thank God. So we've done everything wrong. So now whatever's left.
Can you tell us a little funny story about something that went wrong?
Oh my gosh, let's see. It seems like every month I still forget that fermenters are under pressure when you go to clean them. So to clean a fermenter, I put this hose in the drain ditch area, and sure enough, once a month that stupid drain hose managed to get out of the drain ditch and sprays God knows everything all over the brewery, and that's like 45-minute cleanup time there. So thank God that I'm allowed to use a garden hose on the inside of this building. That's all I've got to say about that. Oh my God!
I-
You should probably release some of the like security cam footage of a hose going crazy on me. That would probably generate a lot
Speaking of which,
That would, I tell you, that would
Go
be
ahead.
great social media buzz for you guys. Seriously.
All right, I came in the middle of conversation. What happened?
So Joel was sharing a story about. I asked a question about what's something funny that has gone wrong at Will County, and he made a point that he often forgets that when cleaning a fermenter, there's still pressure built up within the fermenter. So when he puts a hose in, that tends to fly all over the place.
I recently sent Jason and Polly this picture.
Yeah,
This is a real bad day.
this is
Oh, yeah. I
My wife
see.
asked me, she's like, how does that even happen? I was like, either someone left the CO2 on and didn't close a lid all the way, or pressure buildup from fermentation or something.
Wow. So
Yeah.
thank God I've never had that bad of a brew experience.
Yep. Well, I guess it would be unfair for me to leave this story out, but Polly's got a great brew day story involving me now, and it just happened just recently. So, Polly,
All right.
you want to take it from here?
Yeah, I can. Joel or Jason came down on a brew day a few weeks ago, and he was helping me brew the West Coast IPA. And he was down the week prior to help out, and I kind of showed him out taking tri clamps apart and all that. And I was like, all right, Jason, go ahead, take this apart. I'm gonna start cleaning and doing whatever. And he was doing a great job taking everything apart. And all of a sudden, I look and he's trying to take the tri clamp part off the valve on the bottom from the fermenter that we just took 3 hours filling.
Oh,
Because-
no.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, I try not to raise my voice, but I'm like, Jason, stop! I'm like, walk away from the fermenter. And he's like, why? I'm like, you owe all that beer that we just bitched about taking 3 hours to fucking collect. That almost flooded the brewery right there.
Well, okay. To tell a little bit more about that story. So there was the aeration piece that was on that piece of it, and that's what I was disassembling. And so I got all that taken off, all the clamps and stuff put into separate buckets in line with the cleaning we were doing, and yeah, like everything like linked up to that bottom piece was coming off. So.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
One more
So
clamp.
yes, so I'm certainly glad Paulie caught me when I did, and it won't happen again, obviously, because now it's become a nice funny story.
There are so many instances
Oh,
like
yeah.
that as a brewer where you say, you know what? I'm never going to do that again.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like me flooding my HLT. I've been there for almost 2 months, and I think 2 times I have not flooded my fucking brewery because I start filling it, and I'm doing other stuff, and I'm walking around. All of a sudden, I hear water flowing, and water just flowing on the top of my hot liquor tank. I'm like, oh God, here we go again. Here's the squeegee. Squeegee it out.
I was just thinking the other day, like how would it even be possible to brew if you were deaf? Because we use our ears
Ooh.
so much in the brewing
Oh, yeah.
process. You know, there's good noises and then there's really bad noises. And when those
Well,
bad
yeah,
noises
I-
happen,
I was thinking it
I
sounds like
know-
Paulie needs a float in his HLT that can shut off the water when it gets to a certain level.
Yeah, well,
Oh, man,
yeah, that's, I know I need that, but that's re-engineering the whole fucking brew house, George. You want to come down and fucking re-engineer my brew house?
You know I would if I was there, man. You know I would.
I mean, if there was a float in there, anybody could brew then. So
Yeah, right. I think actually today was the one day that I remembered. I'm like, I walked away. I'm like, no, you're not doing much, because today was like prep day. I pretty much, because I cleaned my fermenter last night for brew day tomorrow. So today was like sitting in front of my laptop, looking cross-eyed, ordering stuff and developing recipes and this and that. And I got up after 8 hours. I was like, I'm fucking tired. Now all I did is sit at this fucking computer all goddamn day. I am wore out.
That's tiring.
I was more wore out than being in the trenches being a plumber, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, I tell you, who knew this brewing thing was so hard?
It's not really that hard. You know, you got
so we have two.
Not much going on, and you gotta do what you gotta do to continue on. Like I had stuff ordered. I got my next 5 brew days ready to go. So I'm gonna be a busy guy for the next 4 weeks. I'll probably squeeze 2 brew days in next week because 1 brew day, 90% of that batch is going in a red wine barrel. So I'm doing a Saison and a Cabernet barrel. So I'm excited about that.
How often are you brewing per week over there?
Once a week for the most part.
Okay.
Yeah. We're doing about once a week. We took a week off because we didn't know what was going on. I did some inventory. I was noticing stuff was getting low. So, you know, like Joel knows, my owners are gone. So the only time I ever talked to him was via text message. So it was like an hour-long text message conversation last night talking about inventory, what needs to be brewed, and stuff like that. But I'm really excited. I got my Ward Labs results back yesterday, and I was playing with that today, and that was a lot of fun. I've never really dealt with water chemistry ever. All I did was put a pH stabilizer and then call it a fucking day. So now it's like I'm looking at it all, and I had to run to the grocery store to buy some baking soda today so I can brew tomorrow. So I'm excited about that.
What are you using for your mineral calculations?
Beersmith.
Okay.
The Beersmith calculator.
Yeah.
You know, you can just type, you put your Ward Lab results right in there, and then you could just hit whatever water profile you're looking for. So, like what I'm brewing tomorrow, I'm doing an APA, so I went for a hoppy ale category. So I looked at that and I got a little worried. I had to call a couple friends, and I'm like, really? 100 grams of gypsum? I'm putting over almost 3 pounds of gypsum in here? What the heck's going on? So that's why I went and bought a few pounds of baking soda today, just to have that ready to go.
So looking at the water profile itself, what did it look like? Is it fairly neutral water, or is it really high in one category?
It's low. I mean, some of the categories I'm not even in the spec range. Like,
okay.
Next time you come down, Jason, I printed it up, Jason. So next time you come down and say hi, I'll pull it out and show it to you.
Yeah. I'll bring mine too. I'd be interested to see them side by side. Because are you guys on the river system? Is that where the water's coming from?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we're getting KPT river water. So.
Jeez, that was.
But yeah, it's kind of fun because now it's bringing a whole new aspect to brewing for me. Stuff that I never really thought about. Now it's like I'm getting thrown to the wolves and trying to figure it out.
You okay?
Yeah, sorry. Someone just snuck up on me.
Was that your wife? Hi, Candy.
Hi.
Oh, yeah.
Hi,
Candy, you
everyone.
stuck up on your señorito.
No. Hi, guys.
Hi.
You snuck up on your señorito.
Hi.
Happy
Yeah.
birthday. Congratulations.
Thank you, guys. Okay, I give you back my husband.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay.
That sounds so beautiful.
Yes.
I'll see you. Bye.
She just loves saying that word husband. I can.
She does. Yeah. I'm sure you can relate.
Yeah.
Nothing, babe.
I know. I missed the part of what you're drinking, but look at this stout that Jason. This is a stout that we did together. Oh,
Look at that.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That carbonation is great.
I think it's a little overcarb because like when I was pouring it, but that's my whole thing is I can't measure it, so I'm playing the guessing game right now. It goes from Oh, it's undercarved? Oh, no, it's a little overcarved. All right, we'll just let it go. We're good. So, but that's about the only thing I'm really struggling with right now is the carbonation to get that.
I was going to
mouthfeel
say,
mixture.
yeah, you mentioned that before, but looking at that glass, like that seems like it's holding up nicely.
Yeah. But when it's
So,
coming
all right.
out of tap, when it's coming out of tap, it does pour a little extra foamy. And I
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah.
So-
Okay. All right. Joel,
I mean-
I remember that for some time that was something that you guys struggled with at Wool County, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. We were having problems with just the aromas weren't there that we were looking for, and also the head retention was pretty flat. So we did some research on that, and we changed our carbonation procedures, and that greatly improved both the aroma and the head retention, the lacing in the glass, and all that stuff. So it was a real learning curve as far as professional brewing and learning how to professionally carbonate. What would I recommend? I would recommend there's I can't remember that one video. There's this guy that his name is Jasper. He's a professional brewer, and he goes through a lot of basic processes for new professional brewers on how to do things. And he had one on how to carbonate correctly, and we learned a lot from that one. I don't know.
If you can find that, Joel, send that to me. I'll watch that during my brew day tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm waiting on the mash or something. I would love to be able to watch that and learn from it, because I know you and I have talked about it. And I know some of the things that you do, I just half the time I don't have the time. Like, if stuff's got to be packaged and ready by tomorrow. So I'm playing that game.
So
So that's the thing I'm thinking about.
Right. Basically, the easiest things you can do to carbonate better on a microbrew scale, at least, is get your carbonation finished and then just let it sit there on the carb stone for 12 to 24 hours just to let that CO2 bind to the beer. That will really help with the head retention.
Okay.
So
that's good to know, because
mine is I've always been like slow and steady, just not crank it up to like 60 or whatever and try to do it in a couple hours or anything. But if it takes a couple days, it's not the end of the world. But just make sure that you can dial in that carbonation correctly and not trying to I overcarbonated it, so I need to compensate for that and stuff. I'd rather just get it right the first time and wait an extra day or two for my beer.
Yeah, I've been thinking about doing a paper write-up for homebrewers and try to give homebrewers some tips on how you could carbonate like a professional brewer with your homebrew setup. So
if you do that, let me know, because we have a website where we're planning on putting articles and things, and that sounds like a perfect one for it, Joel.
Okay.
Sure does.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
And actually, on a good note, when I finally got over to Uncle Rick's today, these guys were brewing, were knocking out. I was like, wow, look at that. Well, take your gravity first.
Look at that. He's got a cylinder ready for you. That's awesome. Paulie's been.
I'm gonna make it, though.
He's become quite the educator on all things homebrewing, and we've seen that evolve just through this webcast.
Yeah, Paulie's always been great with teaching homebrewers what he knows. So I learned a lot of stuff from Paulie over the years.
Yeah, likewise.
So we've learned so much from each other. All the brew days we've done together and hanging out and just talking brewing and stuff like that. So I'm actually really excited, because what I'm brewing tomorrow is I'm remember the Citra Pale Ale that I did.
I need to see that. I need to see that koozie again. Can I see a better picture of that koozie? See that. What does that say? Oh yeah, nice.
Will County Brewing Company.
I heard that brewer's an asshole. I've never heard.
self promotion.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
And it was kind of funny. I had a beer with a couple of the regulars today, and someone talked about brewing. I'm like, the brewer. I'm like, yeah, that guy's an asshole. You need to fire him. Stuff like that.
Oh man.
So
Well, we have two professional brewers here, and then there's us. And, we both have done brewing in professional breweries. And what really struck both of us is how similar it is to what we do. And at the same time, the differences are kind of striking in that. And it's not that it's not a different process at all. You guys are doing kind of the same things that we are, but just at that scale, it's like fishing versus taking a fishing boat out. It's different. It's the same, but it's different.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's what. Yeah.
The way I would say it is
go ahead.
on a big picture level, George is right. Like all the steps are exactly the same, large to small. It's when you get down to the minute and small details of the way to go about those things, that's where the differences are. And obviously those differences compound into quite an animal.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess my biggest fear right now is because being brand new, if I got to dump a 5-gallon batch, that's $30, $40, Now I'm dumping 3 barrels. That's a few $100. And now all my poor fucking regulars, I got to wait another week for me to brew something else because I screwed that up. Sorry, we had to dump the batch. It didn't happen.
Right.
But
Yeah.
And you got even more pressure on you if they decide to say, oh, we're going to be releasing this beer in 3 weeks. Like, oh God, now I definitely can't mess that beer up because we already told people to come out. So.
all right.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of got thrown to the wolves over here. I had 4 full tanks and they wanted something released every Friday. I'm like, all right, well, here we go. Let's have some fun. And I'm thinking I'm doing pretty good over there, so I'm really happy with what I do over there. So,
Nice.
Excellent.
I mean, next weekend will be the true test. The beer that I developed and brewed and packaged all on my own, with a little bit of help from Jason, even though he almost flooded my brewery.
Even though I'm going to be carrying this I'm going to be carrying this for a while. Yeah. All right. I accept it.
That would have been a hilarious story if Jason would have dumped your very first batch of that you did on your own.
That's just so horrible on so many levels.
Yeah.
Have you had to? Let me ask you that, Joel. Have you had to dump out a commercial batch?
Yes.
You have.
Times.
Okay.
A couple times. It happens to everybody. And
Yeah.
the first one I ever had to dump was a batch of our Mr. Mustachio, where we use we soak oak staves in whiskey for a while, and then put the oak staves in the beer, and something went wrong with those oak staves, man. It just really soured the beer, and it just made it undrinkable. And that's a really expensive beer too, so I felt so horrible about that. But it happens. So you just gotta learn and move on.
Yeah. It does happen at every brewery. I know our friends at Metal Monkey have told their fair share of stories about that too.
Yeah.
So it's all good.
Yeah, I gotta ask though, why are tri-clamps such a pain in the ass? There's gotta be a better way.
Well,
you haven't learned how to hit it and make it swing right over right away.
Probably. It's getting those two.
I mean,
It's not so much the clamp as getting those 2 flat plates lined up perfectly so the clamp will fit on it. That's the pain in the ass part.
Yeah. One thing I learned about tri-clamps that you really don't have to apply a lot of pressure to those things to get them to seal correctly. So when I was starting out, I was cranking those things down so hard you could deft grip on them, and then I I don't know, just as a women, like I want to see just how little pressure I can apply to one of these things and still have it seal under pressure. And it was just 2 or 3 turns, done. So like ever since then, I've released my death grip on those things. So. And then when I have new breweries come in, like Jason come in and he does the death grips, like Jason, just calm down, man. You don't have to tighten it down. You don't have to do it.
Here's a great line that just came up in the chat from our friend Sean. Much training is needed to be a tri-clamp ninja. Well said. I like that.
Sure. So I bow down to Jason Janes at Metal Monkey Brewing for that. He's really awesome with those things. So
Okay.
I'm not there yet, and I don't know if I ever will be, to be honest with you. But
I catch myself on slow days practicing. Just for fun. I'm gonna figure this shit out. I practice this shit. If I got a slow day, like I'm cleaning a fermenter, I got like a half hour to kill. I'm fucking figuring out how to be a goddamn Chuck Norris with these goddamn.
Polly, I'm half surprised you're not like planning how to put like extra piping in. So all you got to do is turn some, butterfly valves to send beer in different directions.
Oh my god! That's when you had got to come down and help re-engineer my brewery.
There.
I mean,
I would
because they can't.
That's a second time on this show already, George. Clearly, there's a message here that you need to get back to Illinois.
I mean,
you guys get that COVID thing under control first.
Right.
Okay. I'll get right on that.
But Jason's seen how I set stuff up down there, and
Mm-hmm.
I've got it. It just takes a minute to get it done. So, and I'm still learning it. When I can get a brew day done in 5-6 hours, I'm going to be excited. So, actually, Joe, I'm glad I got you. I thought about you. When you guys are, are you still using those hop bags? Are you just using those ones from BSG for your boiling and whatnot, the nylon ones?
Yeah, I think we get them from BSG. Yeah.
All right. Because I got some of the old school muslin ones, and Jason was there. Like I tried using one of those on my Veteran, and I dropped it in there. It was a big giant fucking dough ball. I mean, here I am in the middle of the boil. I'm picking the thing up out of the boil and cutting it and breaking that fucking dough ball up just to get the Veteran edition in there. I'm like, what is going on here?
Yeah, get the really big hop nylon bags, and that lets the hops float around, and you can get much better efficiency with your hops that way.
I was actually thinking about reaching out to those people that do the brew in the bag system and giving them the diameter of my boil kettle and a height to get me maybe like 6 inches above the heating element. So actually, how far above your heating element is your hop bag? Or they just still float at the top?
We take the strings and we tie them around one of the tri-clover fittings on the outside, so it doesn't get too far away from the top. So we,
Okay. Because I was wanting something to keep.
So you're talking about in your boil kettle you do this, Joel?
Yes.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Because we have a plate chiller system at Will County, and that thing will clog with the slightest amount of hops in that thing. I've tried just making a 3 ounces of hops for 75 gallons of beer. You wouldn't think that would clog a chiller, right? No, it did.
You wouldn't think. Okay.
We use hop bags for everything.
I mean, Jason's been there for both the brew days that I did, and I had I got this big hop screen that filters out all the hop residue, and that thing is clogged twice.
Yeah.
3-hour transfer. I mean, it's kind of funny because there was no way to. I had beer going in the fermenter at 60 degrees. I'm like, what do I do to raise the heat? I turn the hot water on? What's going on here?
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I'm still learning that whole how to hop without clogging my hop string and my plate chiller, because my plate chiller is cute and little compared to your plate chiller.
Wow. I thought ours was small.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
Can
Well, yeah,
glycol
definitely go with the hot bag then.
warm?
I'm sorry.
Can
What were we
glycol
saying, George?
systems warm beer too? Like in a fermenter, can they warm beer or can they only chill?
I've heard they can warm as long as you set your temperature setting right. But if you got multiple ones chilling, the controller is gonna send back to the machine cold glycol.
Right. Okay.
Like my very first batch that I did solo that I see Sean's watching. Thank you again, Sean. My very first batch, he helped me out. We nailed my efficiency. I was over because granted, I looked at it and, like the whole difference between being a home brewer and a pro brewer is your base grain. You want to get as many full bags of base grain as possible. I looked at this recipe. It called for 155 pounds of grain, 3 bags of 165 pounds. What am I going to do? Hold on to 10 pounds and pass it off to somebody?
No.
Jason could use that.
A heating pad to warm. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, we have a standing rule to use half bags or full half sacks or full sacks of all base grains. Like we don't want to carry unless the recipe calls for a really, really tight style guideline. Like your OG has to be between 1033 and 1036. That's the only time we would ever, do that. So
yeah, it's like every recipe. I like even the staples, and I'm trying to do some of the stuff that was popular with everybody else too. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna have like 15 bags of 10 pounds of grain. I could put those all together and get one full bag. I mean, that'd be kind of cool. Just have the one bag sit off to the side, just keep dumping the rest, the leftover in there.
What, and make a Franken beer later?
I could. I mean, I'd be scared. I'd be scared about that on the pro side. It was always fun on the homebrew side because you're always like, I remember one time I did a Franken beer. I wrote down everything. I was going through my old brew book. I'm like, really? I put 9 ounces and 4 grams of Maris Otter in here, and 5 ounces and 4 grams of 60. Like I literally weighed everything out, and I wrote this shit down.
Oh my God. George and I have joked about that for years, basically since we started homebrewing, that like Franken beer has got to be coming with all these leftover specialty malts that we have, and it's never happened. Like,
no, I did one once,
Jason,
and I just made like a basic ale Franken beer, and it turned out pretty good. It was a little darker than it should have been, slightly hoppier than it should have been. The flavors were a little strange, but it was all right.
Well, I'm looking forward. Like I decided once a year we're going to do a Franken beer at Will County, and we're going to call it Christmas Leftovers. And so
that's perfect.
Yeah, in the beginning of December, we're going to look through the grain room and say, okay, we've got this much, this. Let's see what we can do with that. And so last year we did it, and it turned out to be a pretty good beer. So I'm looking forward to seeing what we come up with this year.
Nice.
So I'm always worried that I would make a beer like that and it wouldn't ferment. That would be my one concern with that.
Well, you still got to put base grain in there. I mean,
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, specialty is one thing. We still got to throw some base grain in there.
Sure.
May it be a mixture of Golden Promise, Maris Otter, 2-row, Roar Pale, a couple pounds of Pilsner Malt. I mean, that could be fun.
Well, but I think that's where it's much easier to make a Franken beer on a larger scale, because if you're a home brewer and you end up having like 8 to 9 pounds of specialty malts left over, that's a lot, for like a little 5-gallon setup. It's like the amount of base grain you'd need for that would, just throw you right off your scales.
Right.
So
yeah,
an Imperial Christmas leftover beer.
I think that's got some legs, Joel. The Christmas leftover beer. I mean, do you guys? Is that the name that it gets when it goes on tap?
That's what we called it last year, and that's what I'm planning on calling it again this year.
Good.
I don't know. People liked it. It definitely got generally good reviews. So I don't know. We'll see.
You gotta let them know that it's kind of like the mystery lollipop from the little Dum Dums.
Right.
It's not going to taste the same as last year.
No, it's definitely not going to be the same as last year.
All right. Okay. Back to homebrewing for a second.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. For those of you listening who are not in the JBG, which there's plenty out there that are listening, Joel has or had, and that's where I'm going with this, is one of, if not the most enviable homebrewing rig that a homebrewer could ever hope for. Yeah. So what's going on with the homebrew rig now, Joel? Now that you've gone pro?
Oh my God! I was one of those pro brewers that said, even though I'm a pro brewer now, I'm totally gonna brew on the weekend. Come up with these amazing test beers and that never happens. Never
Wow!
Never.
So you retired the setup right when you went pro?
The thing is, when Teresa and I got together, she lived in a condo, and I moved into the condo here, and so I left my brew rig over at the old house, and my son still lives there. So he wanted to clear out the basement, so I didn't know where to put all this brewing equipment. So I gave it to another JVGer, Don's. Not to keep or anything, but just to hold on to it.
Oh, wow.
So Don is in possession of my old brew rig right now. And
wow.
Neither one of us had the time to set it up and get it running in his basement. So
okay.
Equally my fault and Don's fault. So, but anyway, back in the day, I had a really awesome brew rig, but past 2 or 3 years, these guys have come in with these even more immense, incredible brew rigs that I was jealous of. Like Mike Stevenson, for instance, he had a really awesome one. Then there's the automated electric ones that everybody seems to have these days. So
like the Grainfather ones,
the anvils, all that stuff. So
yeah.
Yeah. You got to walk uphill both ways to get beer.
But so I'm thinking of getting an anvil system if I want to homebrew. I'm looking for ease of use now because I really don't want to, because I spend my week in the brewery, and the last thing I want to do is actually slave over some hot wort on the weekends. I know it's shameful. It's shameful. I feel horrible about it, but it happens to everybody.
You're not alone. Yeah, no, you're not alone at all.
I get what you're saying. Like for someone like you, Joel, and for someone like Polly, I totally get the Grainfather anvil systems and things like that. Yeah, do it, man. That way you can still brew and not have to be that intense on it. So I get it.
Right. So I don't know. So yes, I still miss, this coronavirus thing. That's the worst part about this whole thing, not being able to go to people's houses and just hang out in the garage and, sit around, watch somebody else brew some beer and make fun of them while they're brewing and stuff like that.
And tell them what to do.
And tell them what they're doing wrong and all that stuff. But,
now, all right. So Polly, we talked about this. You got to be a semi-pro to be a regular on here. You start saying that you're going to start telling people what to do and acting all pro brewer high and mighty. We're going to pull your semi-pro card.
Yeah. I don't think.
If you want to kick me off the show, go right ahead. I've said this before.
I don't think Paulie's going to go quietly from the homebrewing game. I really don't.
No, I don't think he is either.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. It's kind of funny because a lot of our regulars, my grain guy, the guy, my farmer that takes my grain, he's a home brewer. He's a boss guy. So we talk home brewing all the time. I got a few regulars that they want to talk home brewing. I got some regulars that don't know anything about it, and they're asking, all these silly questions. Like I'd be at Brew and Grow going, kind of like, thank God we have to wear a mask at Brew and Grow sometimes, because some of these questions I have to answer. I'm thinking, the look on my face. I mean, if you can't see it in my eyes, I'm like, oh my God.
Oh man.
Like prime example, I had one guy call a few weeks ago, and he's like, I read somewhere like I want to transfer into a secondary, and someone was telling me I need to close transfer and do this and do that, and I want to buy everything to do that. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna be honest with you. If you want to do it, it's gonna cost you like, I don't know, $300, or you could just not worry about it, and it's very minimal. He's like, I really appreciate you telling me that. I'm like, if you want to come in, and I'll charge you $350 and get you set up. Come on down. Let's have some fun. But I'm going to be honest with you. You don't need to do it, I mean, there's ways around to do that. Like prime example, I had to take a picture. We'll have to bring this up on another episode. Like working at Brew and Grow, I learned so much about home brewing working at Brew and Grow. Like we have a setup to where I have I use one of the carboy caps. You put your racking cane down there, and on the other end you put a little hose and a HEPA filter, and then you blow through it, and that starts a siphon, and you can walk away. And you don't have to sit there and hold your auto siphon. You're just using an actual racking cane, and you can you can push it down a little bit, and once you start that siphon, you can walk away. And I tried that at home a few times, and it was fucking badass, because things I hated was like holding it. My cats are fighting, they're scratching each other, running up against me, and I'm trying to kick them away. I'm like, get out of here, assholes. I mean,
that's one thing I don't miss about home brewing is like, every batch of beer that I've ever made at my house must have had at least 2 or 3 pieces of cat hair in it. So sorry to all the people out there that tried my beer over the years. Yes, you drank cat hair. So
yeah, it's fine. There's enough alcohol that it sanitizes it.
Yeah, right. It's fine. It's fine.
Oh, that's hysterical. Yeah, like Joel said, I actually kind of miss home brewing nowadays. Like I was talking to a couple of the regulars today. I'm like, oh, we're gonna get going here soon. I'm like, you want? We do it on a weekend. I come down and hang out with you, and see how they're doing it and give them some pointers and do it. And, I would love to only brew 5 gallons one day again. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I almost miss it. So, but I think I'm gonna start doing some 5-gallon one-offs down there at the brewery to try and get people in there on one day a week or something like that, or crowler fills or whatever we're doing.
That would be a really neat way for you guys to do a quick, pilot 5, just do 5 gallons at the shop and see if people like it. I mean, if they don't, what do you have? $30?
Yeah, it'd be a good R&D thing too.
Yeah.
And then the home brewers can come in and hang out. Like, hey, you want to come hang out and brew with me? Go right ahead. I've built enough systems in my time to where I can figure out how to make a system work that everybody can understand.
Oh yeah, probably pretty easily. Yeah.
One of the coolest things that we've done as far as homebrew / pro brewer thing is have the homebrew contests, and then the winner of those homebrew contests can brew that batch over on the pro scale. Mm-hmm. So that was a lot of fun, just judging those and just getting so many different beers, and then having them come to the brewery and see what it's like to pro brew for a day.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's funny. It's funny you should talk about that because, Jason and I had mixed results with JBG competitions and everything. But the person that is the most salty about that, and yes, I use that term appropriately, is Hannah, my wife, because she cannot. Every time judging comes up, she always brings up the story of when we were doing an adjunct brew competition and we were told to put gray sea salt in our beer. So we did. And it comes judging time. And what do we get back on our judging form? It tastes salty.
It says right there. Right there.
And we're like, well, yeah, because you told us to put salt in it.
Well, then there's that one where I got thrown passion fruit. Try to find passion fruit in October.
Ooh,
I drove around.
Yeah.
It was a Sunday morning. I was going to make a batch. I had everything except that. I went to all these trendy towns like Orland Park and Tinley Park, and all the yuppies go shopping at Whole Foods and Joe's and all that. And I couldn't find it. I ended up having to order the stuff online and get some puree, and it cost me $70 for 2 pounds of puree.
Oh, puree is not cheap.
No.
Well,
that's
George,
the only way
we made, what was it, a raspberry puree batch?
Pomegranate.
That's right, pomegranate. I think we may even paid more than $70 for that. Yeah, that was a hell of an expensive batch.
I think it was $35 for the puree and then like $35 for shipping. You remember?
Oh, that's right, because it's shipped in dry ice. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. I have the same thing. And it was funny because at the time, Jason James was the competition coordinator for the guild. And it was funny because like I was so pissed off about it. I went into Brew and Grow after work one day. I gave Jason a piece of my mind. You know, like, really? You give me fucking passion fruit, $70 Yeah, you're gonna get your passion fruit. And then I even went as bad as I went in the bathroom and wrote on the wall, "Screw you and your passion fruit."
Well, so Paulie, in your situation, I may have checked to see if the world famous Brew and Grow in Bolingbrook, Illinois, had passion fruit extract, and just done it that way.
Really, George? You don't think that was my first fucking thing I did? Come on now. That was the first fucking thing I did. I could have got it for like $3. For fuck's sake.
Fair enough.
I've been on both sides of the judging contestant thing, and I've had my share of like, what the heck were the judges thinking? This judge said it was way too sweet. This one was saying it was way too bitter. Like, make up your freaking minds.
Yeah.
And then, of course, lately I've been judging, and so like I don't know. I kind of take joy in people having smoke come out of their ears at my comments.
I think you almost have to.
Yeah. Like, they're gonna hate you anyway, so you might as well have fun with it.
Yeah, right.
Well, at first I was taking them personally, but then after a little while, I just took it with a giant grain of salt, and I was just like, this whole thing. There's nothing objective to it. It's all like the taste of the person and how they can. Do they taste what you tried to put in and everything? And everybody's taste buds are a little bit different, so it's just like, it is what it is.
Exactly. Yeah. I've taken a number of classes for beer judge certification guides and stuff like that. And the more classes I've taken, the more I've learned about it, the more I've realized that it really is just subjective. So I don't take the contest very seriously anymore, as far as like, if I think it's a good beer, then it's a good beer. So
the other thing Jason and I learned early on is it's when you're submitting for a competition, it's not a matter of what did I want to make, but it's sometimes a matter of what did I make. Because we submitted something, we were trying to make a dry stout, right? And we ended up making a sweet stout, or the other way around.
Yeah.
And we submitted it in the wrong category because we intended to make one thing and we made something else. So,
we made that mistake, multiple times. We made a hoppy red ale. Remember, this was the first round of this. Is we submitted it as a Flanders ale, which of course is around the sour notes, and we just got slaughtered for that. That was a rough lesson right there.
Yeah.
So but George's advice is right on. I mean, you do have to submit a beer for what you made rather than what you set out to make, and they're not always the same thing.
Right.
Now, throughout people's evolutions, as you get better, the product that you do make should align with what you set out to make. I mean, that's what everybody should strive to get to.
Right.
And if you ever have a problem, just throw some fruit in it and put it in the fruit beer category, or some smoke in it and throw it in the smoke beer category.
Call it a day. Yeah.
You can do whatever you want.
Well, one thing about judging for homebrewers is to really be helpful in the beginning is to detect off flavors. There's some off flavors that I am just blind to, and I cannot taste them in my beers. But other people are very sensitive to those off flavors. So that really helped me out as far as, trying to refine my process. So off flavor detection, really good, really beneficial for submitting your beers for contests. But as far as anything else, like just, trying to win a gold medal because you think it's the best beer, not so much. But the off flavors thing, very beneficial.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you one of those guys that has trouble detecting diacetyl?
Let's see. What are the things that I learned that I am pretty blind to? Diacetyl is one of them. I'm trying to think of some other ones. There's butyric acid that I'm pretty resistant to that. Actually, that tastes like vomit, and some people, I was in a tasting class, and some people were like, all right, here's enough flavor, try this one. And some people just couldn't even put it up to their mouth. It was so bad. They were so sensitive to this. And me, I was like, yeah, it tastes weird, but I mean, I don't know, I drink it. So
I thankfully I don't think that's ever happened to us, Jason. Let me put it this way: I don't even remember drinking one of our beers and saying, "Man, this tastes like vomit."
No, and honestly, I'm trying to remember because George, you and I have both taken that off flavors class, and
yes,
but
I don't remember that one.
I'm drawing a blank on that one.
Did you take the off flavors class that had the 6 different off flavors?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, I took one over at Governor State University that had 22 to 30 off flavors.
Oh, wow.
That was an 8-week class that we took. So that really got into depth of all the off flavors. So
8 weeks?
8 weeks, yeah.
All on off flavors?
Well, it was partially off flavors and going over beer styles and okay, so this is Flanders, this is what you should be looking for in a Flanders, that kind of stuff. It was basically prepping you for the BJCP test. So,
okay, got it.
Because I was thinking 8 weeks of tasting crappy beers would just do bad things to my psyche.
Well, yeah, I mean, it did teach me a lot about what I'm blind to, and as you get older, your taste buds die off, and so you're not nearly as sensitive to things as you were when you were a younger person. So judging is a young man's game, apparently, which is another reason why I shouldn't judge beers anymore.
Judging is a young man's game. Wow, I've never heard that one before.
But you look at all the judges are all old, in their 40s and 50s and shit like that. Fobab, all the Fobab judging was going on today. I don't know if you guys saw that on social media. It was between 3 breweries. They had Fobab was going to be at Hailstorm. What?
Sorry, I don't mean to break in, but we do have a question that was asked to us in the chat.
All right,
here.
I saw
it. And it's brewing specific. So let's dig into this.
Yeah. He asks, I've brewed 3 beers, 2 wet and 1 IPA. I'm assuming that might be wit instead of wet. he's cold crashed each of them in a keg at 30 psi for a day, then dropped to 12 for a few more days. In his opinion, they were drinkable, and he was happy. The question is, I'm a fan of primaries for only 3 weeks, then straight into the keg cold crash. Can I rack a beer into a keg and keep it out of the fridge instead? He looks like he's going to be running out of space and wants to keep brewing. So he's got no space. So I guess the root of the question is, after the primary, can you rack it into a keg and not put it in the fridge to cold crash right away?
I'm seeing a few
sure,
problems here in that description, though.
Well, I mean, I guess it really, sure. Yes, you can go from your carboy or your bucket into a keg directly without cold crashing first. But the problem with that is you're just going to pick up more yeast. You're gonna have more troop.
Yep.
So it's just a question of how much beer are you really trying to salvage out of this batch, you know? Like if you want every last drop, then you're gonna have to cold crash it. If you don't, if you're not so worried about it, if you're not worried about picking up some yeast and having some haziness, then you're good. You're good.
See, and that goes to the clarity point. I think that's important in this, and that's a big reason for why you want to cold crash prior to moving to a keg, is to have all that yeast get frozen and then drop out, and then what you bring over into a keg is just a cleaner, more crisp beverage.
Right. And the other thing I would suggest if he's going to do that is to make sure that his keg sanitation is top notch. Because if you're bringing it over and you're not going to have your keg in a chilled environment, anything that's in there is going to go nuts. So just make sure that your keg sanitation is 110% on that.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's some drawbacks, but yeah, I mean, if you're out of space and you're not brewing you don't need like a super clear pilsner or things, it's doable.
Yeah.
And one bonus to where cold crashing before you transfer into the keg, it's already cold. You can start carbonating it right away. You don't have
right, but then you're carbonating at closer to because it's going to warm up. You're carbonating at closer to room temperature. You're going to use more CO2
I see what you're getting at. But if you have the space and you put it in your keg right away, and you can, because what I used to do is I would cold crash and pull it out. But I see what you're getting at. But if you have the room, at least you can carbonate it right away. I took my words here. Sorry. I actually thought about it while I was saying. I'm like, I'm contradicting everything that's going on here.
You're good.
I do feel the need to put this out because there's nothing in this question that talks about dry hopping. But if that's something that you're exploring at all, is making a beer with dry hopping, then the cold crashing process is going to take on some added importance. Because if you don't do that properly, then you're going to carry over some really nasty hops into your keg, and that's just not going to be a good scene.
You get that vegetable flavor.
Exactly. Not to mention debris and
debris.
Yeah.
Clogged dip tubes and poppets.
Yes.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I've never had that.
At the side of a festival, and then Joel giving you shit. He made a mess in his keg because he lent you the keg for the day with freaking it was like what the early developments of Paulie's truck we did at his house, and the one keg had a bunch of trube in it, and I remember sitting on the side of Chicago Street in front of the bar, trying to unclog a dip tube like 3 or 4 times. I finally just hooked it up and I just started sending beer. I literally had a beer fountain coming out of my fucking keg. And then Joel's like, "Oh, really? You give me a dirty keg?" I'm like, "Did you see what I had to do to get this fucking keg to work?" So that's
I've had to do that more than once. Not gonna lie.
Yeah. Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I had to switch microphone setups. So, okay.
Actually, this microphone sounds better than the one before because the other one before was awfully quiet.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. And your internet's holding up too. This is awesome.
Knock on wood.
Knock on wood. This is about the It's about the time where this where it's
All right.
loses it a little bit.
You are welcome,
Jeff,
Jeff Lorenzo.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for the question.
Thank you for the question. Yeah, this was great. I hope that helps.
Yeah. Yeah, if anybody else has any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. We'd be happy to answer.
Yeah.
And we pay
Except for
attention. Come on.
I was actually paying attention.
We're always thankful for Sean's participation. Always.
It's fucking classic.
Yeah. So
what else?
Anyway,
yeah, man.
what else is going on? Jeez.
Okay,
well, let's see. So
has everybody watched Cobra Kai now? Can we talk about this? We're going to this rabbit hole.
Okay.
Before we go into a Cobra Kai rabbit hole, I do. JBG is working on its Big and Dark competition for December, and we were talking about it a little bit last night during the meeting. And it seems like even though we're in these COVID times, we're still going to have a pretty decent turnout for the JBG, Big and Dark competition, which for those of you who don't know, I think we've mentioned it once or twice before, is it's supposed to be dark. So you're looking at your porters, your stouts, your, I think would like a barley wine fit into that?
That's
Joel?
really borderline, basically.
Yeah.
You can see through the
Yeah,
beer. then
kind of
there's a
borderline.
problem.
Okay, but whatever you do, we're talking about super high alcohol, it's
we're
big
talking
and dark.
at
That's the, yeah.
9% ABV. Yeah. So
Yeah. So, I guess, I get Polly and Jason, I assume you guys are you collaborating on one, or are you doing them separately, or what's your plan this year?
I can't enter any more competitions because I work for a professional brewery.
what? It's just as long as you don't brew it on your pro system, you're good. Come on, man.
Yeah.
All right, Jason. We'll talk offline. We'll figure something out.
Okay. I've got a brew day on the schedule for this month, and I don't know if I'm going to be ready in time. Like, honestly, like this is one of the things about Big and Dark that we don't often talk about at the JBG is it really benefits you to brew it early, like September, early October, so it's got time to evolve and kind of absorb the character.
I mean, shit, we got 3 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, we're judging on my birthday, so Sean, I know you're listening. I'm going to be a judge. It's my fucking birthday. I'm a judge for Big and Dark.
All right, Sean, you heard it.
Yeah. All right, so neither of you, I mean, you guys might not get in this year, huh?
Yeah. Honestly, I think this will be the first time in my entire tenure as a JBG member that I would not submit for Big and Dark. Not proud of it.
Wow.
I'm
But-
actually
That's surprising.
last year.
Yeah.
Because me and Sean 1-0, that spells scenes, called Sean. We won Big and Dark last year. Just COVID hit, and we never had a chance to brew it. So, Metal Monkey still owes me one. That might be our collab.
And he's gone.
Oh, there
You
goes.
had to say it.
Yeah,
You
I
just had to
did.
say it.
Yeah. All right. Blame me. Fine.
Oh, that's hysterical.
Yeah.
Man.
So, Joel, what do
So-
you guys got coming up? I mean, what do you got anything new in? I know you. James said you brewed the Jingle Beard recently. What else you guys got coming up in your tank?
Yeah, we brewed our Jingle Beard. That's going to be coming out in December. We just brewed a giant batch of Fuss in the 10 barrel fermenter. We're coming out with another version of Haze Zebra, which is our hazy IPA series. I just added some coffee beans into Visante, which is our coffee brown. Then I kegged up a new German light beer today
Ooh,
That should be on tap today. It came out really good. I was really surprised. It's only 3.3% ABV, but it's got a lot of good flavor. It's just a nice, easy drinker. It's got good noble hop aroma, little lemony flavor
Nice.
to it. So I was really proud of that
is
one.
it like a light lager type of thing, like a
Yeah,
yellow vintage
yeah.
beer, kind of like BRD, something like that?
Yeah, but
All right.
even lighter than the other ones. So,
Oh, all right. Yeah, I'm actually. I've been watching our light lager deplete, and I'm actually starting to work on one myself because, even though I want to, like, I've been getting the free reins to do whatever the hell I want. So, time to start putting my shit in. Like, I'll develop some recipes. If you don't like it, we'll go back to the other one. Whatever, That's the way I'm working at it right now. So
Okay.
I'm excited. I'm really excited about the saison in the cab barrel. That's going to be fun. I can't wait for a year to do that one. I mean, I'm going to have 3 barrels under my belt. Huh?
Have we talked about that here
I
on the
have been
show?
toying with the idea.
Paulie, you and I have talked offline about it. Has that come up here?
No. We never talked about it. Oh yeah.
All right.
So, sorry.
Kick it off.
All right. I inherited a red wine barrel, and I don't know. I think Jason might have the pictures, but regardless, I inherited a red wine barrel, and granted, it took me a bunch of phone calls and emails, and then all of a sudden, me and Jason go back, and I look on the bung, and it says Cabernet. I'm like, well, fuck. I should have just looked here. It would have saved me a day's worth of research, and it's for a winery in California, and I found out it's cab, and I reached out to my friends and my buddy out in Oregon that does from Ale Song that does all the barrel stuff, and he's like, a red wine barrel? I do a saison, so I developed the saison, and I'm gonna put that 90% of that batch into the barrel, and I'm gonna have 1 keg to drink to the general public. I'm gonna keep 1 back for back blending if need be. If not need be, carbonate it and go. It's in the cooler right now. We're fine. So that's my whole project.
I remember a meeting that we had for the professional brewers at FOBAB. It was a pre-FOBAB conference, and they were talking about barrel aging and asking all these questions and stuff. And the things I got from that were interesting. A couple things that I remember them talking about was they have, they do some serious blending of beers. So like if you're thinking, I'm gonna brew a batch of beer and put it in this one barrel, and like, Revolution, they do 30 barrels and blend that all together to get the flavor that they're looking for. And they have a really extensive barrel testing process, and they reject a lot of barrels that they buy. They usually buy barrels by not Revolution specifically, but these bigger breweries, they buy barrels by the truckload from distilleries, and the rejects they sell to smaller breweries. So like, my advice to all you smaller breweries out there, don't buy any barrels from one of the bigger guys, because they're selling you their rejects that are just not probably going to produce very much good beer. So
Yeah.
go with a company that sells directly from distilleries. Spend the extra money, because it's always really tempting. Like, oh, this big brewery in Chicago's selling barrels for, $60 per. And like, that's a great deal. Yeah, it is a great deal, but you're not getting a great deal. So
Yeah.
You're getting what you pay for. That's what you're getting.
Yeah.
pretty much.
I've been considering, kind of along the lines of what you were talking about with the light German beers. I've been considering trying to make like a French table beer.
Okay.
That has the probably like 2.5 to 3% ABV, nice light alcohol kind of table beer. Have you guys ever have either of you ever made something like that?
I've never gone that low personally, but
I've always thought about it. because I remember like when I was learning to brew at Flossmoor, like they were always talking about we could make a small beer out of this. We could make a small beer out of this. But as a home brewer on that brew day, I'm like, last thing I want to do, or I can't really, fire up the mash tun again because my burner is being set. What we got here?
That's the last one I made.
Okay.
We made, sorry.
Or they made. Let me guess. Mosaic Premise. But it was like your boil kettle, your burner, and your boil kettle, and everything to heat your water up. You can't do that. Am I gonna let my grain sit there for 5 hours before I can reuse everything and then have another 6-hour brew day? I'm usually drunk at the time.
No, I wasn't planning on doing it as like a second run. I was planning on doing it like as a purposeful table beer kind of thing. See if I could get just really good flavor, low alcohol, kind of type beer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that sounds really cool. If I were to do that, I would try to choose I would just go with base grains only, just like 2 base grains. Pick 2 base grains that complement each other, maybe Victory and maybe some Munich, perhaps. I don't know, I'm just spitballing here right now, but just pick some things that have some interesting characteristics to them, and then just choose a hop that really a single hop, and I would go with something that just has a nice delicate flavor to it to go easy on the 2%.
Yeah, I was thinking also that something like that might take well to like a very subtle spice note too.
Yeah,
if you were able to include that, but you wouldn't necessarily want to overwhelm it either. So,
right.
But yeah. Especially considering like the French style, like the saisons and things, a lot of times will have those spice or fruit notes to it,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you totally mess it up, you can just add fruit to it, and nobody will know.
Right, and then you can enter it in the fruit category. Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. Okay.
But yeah, those are the beers I go for in this day and age. The lighter beers, I don't know. Whenever I go to a new brewery and I want to see what these guys can do, I always choose their lightest beer because, as you guys know, like there's nowhere for the off flavors to hide.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's the white car of beers.
Right.
Like just the plainest ones you can find. No, that's very good advice.
Yeah. Polly, are we boring you? Where are you going?
I'm being the educator. I'm showing these guys how to read a fucking hydrometer. Leave me alone.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
He's got a webcast and he's educating on homebrewing at the same time.
He's teaching a lesson.
And hats off to Paulie. That's the kind of versatility that we're impressed by.
And you're talking about kicking me off his show for not fucking teaching people about fucking homebrewing.
He's doing it in real time.
I'll talk to you guys in a second.
All right.
Oh man.
So what have you guys been brewing these days?
So I've got wine and mead going here at the house right now. Every autumn, this is the 3rd year running, I make a trip up to Wisconsin to buy a grape batch, and they get smashed and put in the containers and then driven back to Illinois here where they were fermented and bottled. We've talked about this here on the show. I won't go into too much depth, but winemaking is not that difficult. In my opinion, I think it's easier than beer making because it's all just kind of managing a fermentation and post-fermentation process. But that's always good. I always look forward to that trip, and I've got an autumn spiced mead that's in 2 growlers up in the kitchen. I'm a little nervous with how it's going to taste because it's been in primary for about a month now, which I didn't quite design. But at the same time, the fermentation has been slow and not what I expected. And it's got the spice notes and the cinnamon stick that's still in it. So there's a chance it may be like over the top autumn-y. Well, I guess we'll see. I'll see. I don't do a ton of mead.
You could always blend it if it is. Blend it with some mead.
That actually is a really good idea. I still have more honey here at the house, so that could be done. That's actually a really good idea. All right. Well, I think barring plans getting chaotic, I should be transferring it this weekend. So.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah. What
about you, George?
Guys, I have been between everything. I just got back from a trip, and with the election and stresses going on here, I have not been brewing. I've just been talking to you guys. I still have my plan to do my chocolate banana beer. But
you have all the stuff for that too, don't you?
No, I haven't bought
it.
Yeah, and that's been part of the problem is I haven't been able to get to the shop to pick it up. But I may just have to ride out the rest of this year and start 2021 fresh with some home brewing. We'll see.
That's a perfect way to start the new year.
It is, isn't it? I agree.
Yeah.
I am not starting a batch at like midnight though. I'm not that crazy.
Oh God. Who are those? Who are? Oh gosh.
10
okay.
a.m. January 1st is fine.
Yeah.
Well, the catch-22 with that is you're dealing with the weather when you're brewing in January. And Joel, stop me if you've heard me talk about this. I've ranted endlessly about this on the audio podcast, not so much here, but I really think that it's a cruel joke that the biggest homebrew competitions are in March, which is driving everybody to be brewing in December, January, and February, in the absolute coldest months of the year.
That's very true. Why do they do that to people? We should ask them why they did that.
It's okay. Yeah. I'm glad I'm not alone. Thank you.
Yeah. I guess that was just a rite of passage to be freezing in a garage with the door quarter open.
Maybe. I guess part of the argument, and I don't know, it'd be impossible to put numbers to this, but I hear people tell stories that a lot of the beers that get submitted for those competitions have been in kegs or bottles for quite a long time at the time that they get submitted.
Yeah, I guess I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
There's really, I'd probably say maybe only 50% of the beers judged really is like time dependent on them, as far as freshness is concerned.
Yeah.
Yeah, like IPAs don't hold up very well on that kind of thing. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, Sean.
Man.
Come on. Really?
Oh God.
See, okay, so here's my problem is I brew out in my shed, and I have my propane thing, and I open up a window and put a fan in it so I don't asphyxiate and everything. But the problem is between the humidity and the heat from boiling inside my shed, it can be like 0 degrees outside and it'll be 90 in my shed.
No, so. I've gotten calls from George, like when he's in the middle of that and he's just drenched in sweat and just really struggling.
Yeah. All of the things you're talking about is exactly why I built an electric brew rig in my basement.
Yes.
And one of the thing I was the most jealous of with your brew rig, Joel, was your ventilation system, the way you had it, because it just forced everything right out, right out of your house, and it was real nice.
Yeah, I was not messing around with that thing. So
apparently not. I
got an 8-inch inline fan, and I learned doing the research that the 8-inch inline fans revolved at a lower RPM than the 6 inches, but yet they moved more air. So they were quieter and they moved more air. So it was definitely worth the money to go with a bigger fan system than a smaller one. So
right,
money very well spent. So
yeah.
And when
And
you're
that's one of
talking
the
about-
things. Like I'm looking to redo a few things, especially around the electrics in my shed, and building a ventilation system into it is definitely high on the priority list for me. So, yeah.
I can imagine. I can imagine sweating to death in the middle of January.
For the love of home brewing.
Yeah. Then you go
Oh,
outside, and then, and like I said, it's 90 degrees inside. You go outside, and it's freezing. All of a sudden, like all that sweat in your hair and on your skin is just freezing to your, it's not fun.
oh my God.
Or when it's freezing outside and you're boiling and you got so much steam coming off your boil kettle, you're in there with a flashlight trying to see if you're actually boiling or not, so you can call the boil. Yes, exactly. Yeah,
Makes it worse,
you
man.
too, yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh, I remember the early days. That was funny. Like, how in the hell am I seeing this shit?
What's going on outside, Paulie?
Oh, they're good. They're done brewing. They were just reading the hydrometer, and they wanted to make sure they were reading it right, and they were on target. So,
All right.
Nice.
It's chilled, sitting in the carboy.
yeah, it's in the carboy.
All
Actually, it was funny when I showed up. They had something clogged, and I got it flowing, and like, all right, I got to come in and chime in, and now they're pitching the yeast and doing what they got to do. Kind of proud
Nice.
of me too. So,
What they come in at OG wise.
10:55.
Okay.
What was the target?
I don't know. I'd have to. I didn't.
Okay.
Hold on. I could find it. Give me a second.
All right.
Okay.
But 10:55, assuming a 10:09, 10:10 finish, that's what, 4.5, Jason?
No, it's higher than that.
It's higher than that?
Yeah. 5. It's gonna be close to 6, I think.
Really? Okay, I didn't think it was going to be that high.
Maybe
Their target-
between 5.5 and 6, somewhere there.
Their target was 63. So they're a
63.
little bit
Okay.
off.
Okay.
A little
I
bit
mean,
off,
they're
yeah.
a little bit off, but not that bad. I mean, it could
Huh.
be worse. I've seen a lot worse. So
Yeah, it's still going to be a respectable beer.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, give these guys credit. They're doing it. It was kind of funny because I keep getting text messages from them, and they're showing me them brewing, and like, well, when did you go to Brew and Grow? I wasn't there. And then I hear stories when I go into Brew and Grow, like, oh yeah, Uncle Rick came here and look about this. Like he was talking about getting, when we were speaking about the all-in-one system, he's thinking about getting an anvil system for himself for the winter, just so he can brew in the house or in the garage. I get that,
Yeah. I get that too.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm half tempted. I'm half tempted to, with my one-offs, I'm half tempted to talk to the owner and be like, can I get this? Let's just do it. Have some fun. Have a little home brew, like a little anvil system, like back in the corner. I pull out
Yeah,
every
I mean-
now and then.
That'd be a real easy way to have a pilot system,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Tell your boss it's a pilot system.
Yeah.
Oh, he's all about it. Like I was telling him about the whole Sunday detention and all that, and he's like, "That's actually a good idea." I feel bad because my owners they've never brewed. They just like beer, so I throw all these ideas out at them. Like, okay, let's do it. And it's kind of funny. Like in their brewery, most of the stuff that they put in their brewery is the stuff that they've seen traveling across the country, like that hook game, Jason.
Yeah.
They found that in North Carolina.
Okay. Okay.
And they
Is
brought
that the
it
like
over.
one where it's on a string and you have to like get it on a ring and you have to get
Yes.
it on a hook? Yeah.
You know what this is?
I do know what this is.
I never knew anything about it until I walked into Paulie's brewery.
Yeah.
So are you well versed in this, Jason? That there's games going on. How many times?
I mean, listen, number one, I think it's fun and I think it's a great idea. And second of all, I'm amazed just how many people around there have mastered that. That'll
I know,
walk up to
right?
there and they'll get it around the thing in the first fucking throw. Like what? It's
There is
unreal.
a trick to there is a trick to it.
I
And
get that.
the trick to it is you don't it doesn't take force. It actually you have to be kind of gentle with it so that
Yeah.
it hits the hook and wraps around.
Right.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have no idea what you guys are talking about, but I'm gonna have to look it up later.
Is there a name for this, Paulie?
I don't know,
I-
but actually, Joel,
Yeah.
Kevin made a small version of it for his little home brewery, Kevin Promise, and he actually made a little mock-up version of it, like probably like a quarter scale or whatever, where he put the bar out and you could swing it out and drop it in there.
Well,
It's
maybe
actually-
I have seen it then.
You have seen it. You've seen it on
Okay.
social media. But no, like it's kind of funny because I'm afraid of it. Like there's so much competition. They're betting beers in the bar. Like, all right, who gets it in the last one? I did it in one. And whoever goes up and challenges them doesn't win or buying the next round. So I get a kick out of that.
Yeah, Jason, if you want to share, here's like a small version of
Oh
it.
yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and the trick is you swing this, you pull the ring back, and then when you let it go, it's supposed to come up and hook on the hook there.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah,
Huh. Okay. I can see how that would be entertaining.
Is there a name on that? I can't. It's too small to read.
literally ring and hook game.
Ring and hook. Oh wow, wow. How appropriate.
Yeah.
Okay. Ring and hook game.
It's what it says on the tin, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hysterical.
Yeah. All right. Well,
We did not get to a Cobra Kai deep dive, but
we did
wow.
not.
This was an awesome episode, you guys.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was.
It was a lot
Joel
of fun.
Rakowski from Will County Brewing Company. This was awesome. Thank you so much for joining us, man.
No problem, guys.
El Presidente.
That was fun talking to you guys.
Yes. El Presidente.
Yep.
I guess I couldn't possibly close out an episode with Joel without also properly identifying him as the founder of the Joliet Brewers Guild, member number 1, and of course now brewhouse manager. Is that still your title at Will County?
Brewhouse manager, yes. That's
Brewhouse manager at Will County Brewing Company. Cheers to you, sir. Thank you so much for joining.
Cheers.
Cheers.
See you guys later.
All right, we're not done just yet.
wait,
Hold
not done
on,
just
hold
yet.
on. We close this off very formally. Okay.
Okay, all right.
Thank you,
That was
everybody, for
phase
listening.
one. Phase 1.
Phase 1. There you go. All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We do our webcast here on the YouTube and Facebook every Thursday at 6 p.m. Central Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Our audio podcast is under the name A Nice Place to Brew on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, and all those places you get your podcast from. If you listened to our last episode with John Bitterman last week, you learned that we will be doing an audio podcast before the end of November related to, George?
How
No.
the hell PBR won the blue ribbon at the World's Fair?
Exactly. So keep a listen for that. If you can't wait until next Thursday to catch more of us, check out our YouTube page for links to all of our past episodes. We've done weekly episodes since the beginning of the quarantine, so it's quite a library. So check it out. Besides that, our website is www.aniceplacetobrew.com. Our social media pages are A Nice Place to Brew and Nice Place to Brew. Check out Will County Brewing Company in Shorewood, Illinois on Route 52. And also, of course, Route 66 Old School Brewing, Paulie's Brewery in Wilmington, Illinois. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us here. We look forward to seeing you next time. And as a last note, as we end every show, we raise a glass and we say, it takes a lot of good beer. Come on, join me. It takes a lot
of good beer.
It
All right,
takes a
great beer.
No, this is horseshit. Let's start from the beginning, okay? 1, 2, 3. It takes a lot of
good
good
beer
beer to make great
great
beer. Cheers.
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 And that's why we never try to do it together.